Okay, my darlings, so in your book you've got these pictures as well, but this is just a little bit easier to look at. And basically what you're looking at here is the pueblo of Siquik. Probably somebody who speaks Spanish can do that better. And these are ruins that are pictured here that are probably about 2,000 people lived in, and they had those sister crops that they were growing in New Mexico, corn, beans, and squash. They traded with neighboring groups, and you can see this climate looks quite arid, and they must have had some sort of system of irrigation. So again, you know, we're looking at these societies that are thousands of years old, and they we can make deductions by looking at their structures and so forth. So first thing you're going to do, this is 16th century, so we're looking at the 1500s. Look at the geography, look at describe what you see around these ruins, and you're going to identify that. And then the next question, when you're analyzing, it asks you, in what way was this town a product of its geography? So look at the basic construction. And do you see a lot of wood? Do you see, you know, you can just see by the basic construction that the structures itself were made based on the materials that they had to work with, which I think is kind of interesting. On this bottom picture, you see them digging down into the ground and perhaps storing things where it's going to be cooler underneath the ground. It could also be maybe a defensive measure. So this is kind of a really interesting thing when you get to the evaluation part. It states the structure suggests that the people who built it were settled rather than nomadic. And so what inferences can you make about their economic patterns based on this evidence? So when you're answering this question, cite the evidence that you're looking at to make your evaluation. Okay, so again, this is on you. And let's look at the next one real quick. Okay, I like this one. This is document 1.3 in your book. And this is Chief Powhatan. This is the father of Pocahontas, right? And he was the ruler of the Pamunkey tribe. And this was in 1608. So what we know is that in 1607, that was Jamestown. And Chief Powhatan was the ruler of all the Native Americans that surrounded Jamestown. So what we're basically looking at here is his cloak, and we know he's the ruler. And if you analyze what this cloak is made out of, you can see shells. Well, Jamestown, of course, on Chesapeake Bay, on the water. You can make some assumptions. Because they gathered shells, that possibly they even went fishing. Yeah, okay. So in the middle, you know, that possibly is Powhatan himself. On either side, you see two deer. So again, they're asking you to describe the arrangement. What's the significance of the figure in the middle? What's the significance of those shells surrounding it? The analysis, what do the materials say about the economy and the society? So it's obviously there's a hierarchy of some sort with him being in charge, and you can go ahead and analyze there. And then on the evaluation, how might Powhatan's placement at the center of the cloak foster conflict with the European colonist? Well, we talked a little bit earlier about the religious aspects, the difference, the animism of the Native Americans versus Christianity of the colonist, maybe even with this hierarchy, some godlike qualities perhaps with the Chief Powhatan. So go ahead and do these next 2 documents, and then you're going to be assigned document 1.4, 1.5. And then we'll talk about that skill they want you to look at on page 9 of your book of continuity and change over time.